Hello there, dear listener. We hope you're enjoying this lovely discussion. If you're not already aware, this show is part of a podcast network called KWAZ Radio, a Pan-African Nationalist and Garveyite network committed to showcasing the rich and varied thoughts of African people. We have an exciting lineup of shows that we think you'll enjoy, including
the Bitter Medicine Podcast.
I think black people acquire too much buy-in. Like, we constantly have to sell black people on things that are beneficial to black people.
The Pro-Black Perspective Podcast.
I'm fearful that our people are not really studying how to get ahead, and we're kind of, continually staying behind.
The Harsh Reality Podcast.
To me, it don't matter. I think people are so dumbed down, it wouldn't matter what you reveal to them. They still are in the matrix. They're in the simulation. They're going to keep doing what they did, they lemmings. So to me, it don't matter, man.
The Learning Curve Podcast.
Sexual access has never given you economic empowerment. The only person who has ever been economically empowered by a sexual relationship is the wasp and his woman.
The Cathedra Cheek Show.
When we start rising up to fight for our own, I guarantee you they'll stop doing what they're doing. I guarantee you they would have let their brother go. They was waiting to see what black folks was going to do.
Brother Bakari Podcast.
Black people love to claim folks that hate them, right? They're a slave master, and they are ashamed of who they really are.
The Forecast Radio.
Like, if you pray to the same deity as like your enemy, and that God blesses your enemy more than you may want to reconsider who you praying to,
And Tanzan, African Mind.
Africans generally are welcoming of everyone. Sometimes, to my consternation, I think that they should be less, welcoming.
If you love our podcast network, we would be grateful if you could rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. Follow us on social media, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and check out our website at www.kwazradio.com for more information. Thank you for tuning in. And now, back to the program.
All right. Peace, family. So today is actually something special. We're going to go over this speech. I actually included it into the Book of Power, but I took out the mulatto stuff. And I know you're saying, why would you do that? Well, partly because when I write books, I kind of think, what should our posterity see? Should they see that we want to depend upon another people? Or should they see that, or should they just not see that? You know what I mean? Like one of the more important things about propaganda is censorship. So, but I kind of still regret it, only because most of us don't even know about this speech. Most of us don't even know about this document. And so, when it's already hidden information and then it's censored on top of that, it does take from it. So in a way to rectify, because I guess about the same people, I got 2 concurrent viewers, so about the same amount of people who have my book are going to see this. So it ain't nothing new. All right. I'm not really, I'm undoing the damage. That's what it is. All right. So what we're going to do is, this is a speech you can find it on this website. I don't know how to say this, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to just send it to you guys, and then I'm just going to put it in the chat, and you guys can, I don't know if it's already in the description, honestly, but you guys can, go to the website yourself. And like I said, I kind of cleaned it up for the Book of Power, and we can go over that later, but I kind of cleaned it up for the Book of Power, but this is what the one of the versions I've seen looks like. Now, I think I've seen a couple of these versions, and I kind of cleaned it up based off of a couple of these versions. But there's an important detail that I left out on purpose, so I want to go over that right now. So what we're going to do is first is we're going to just read this, and then we can go look at it what it looks like in the Book of Power, and you can see the differences. So he says, look, crimes the most atrocious. Obviously, you see the misspelling already. Such as were until then unheard of and would cause nature to shudder have been perpetrated. The measure was overheaped. At length, the hour of vengeance has arrived, and the implacable enemies of the right of man have suffered the punishment due to their crimes. Okay? So again, one of the things you're going to pick up on in the original translation is this, disdain for the French. I kind of widen it, because, let's for instance, you're in America. What do the French have to do with you? If you're in Tanzania, what do the French have to do with you? You don't, part of it also is that you want African people to recognize Wazungu by their race and not so much their nation. Although, obviously, there is some debate about that in the the African spaces, in the African consciousness community, as to say that, well, what about the nation of Russia? What about the nation of China? Aren't they Asian? Aren't they European? So there is debate, but again, I kind of wanted to generalize it because you're supposed to, right? So my arm raised over their head has too long delayed to strike. At that signal, with the justice of God as urged, your hands, righteously armed, have brought the axe upon the ancient tree of slavery and prejudices. Now, somebody's going to point out, hey, look, there's some religion here. Yeah, obviously. I think that most black people are religious. I think, and I want to just go on the religion thing. I think it makes a lot of sense for most black people to be religious. Not just most black people. I think most people have some conception of, or have been inspired to have some conception of something greater than them, right? The thing is, it's very easy to believe that, and it's just something that's been passed down from time immemorial. It doesn't make it true. It's just something that's been passed down from time immemorial, right? It's part of the language at this point. It really is part of the language, to the point where, yeah, I mean, like most people teaching the language are religious. Like most people teaching English are religious all over the world, and I say that in light of I think I was I was showing my son some what was it called, some English comprehension thing, and it was like, answer the questions at the end of the essay, and it was some simple questions, simple answers, and I just wanted him to get a structure for coherent sentences. At the end of this presentation, and it was an Indian presentation, okay? At the end of this presentation, the person said the word of the day, and you're like, what's the word of the day? And it was a Bible verse. It was like Ecclesiastes 13 something, some dumb shit. But it's like, that's the level of indoctrination around the world. Because again, this is not African, this is not African American, this is not, Caribbean, this is not none of that. This is Indian. Like not feather, but dot, and yeah, they were propagating the Bible. So it's not like it's not unheard of for people to be religious, and I don't think that takes away from somebody or gives more to them. I think that it's just normal for humans to feel religious, but I'm going back. I mean, unfortunately, it's going to be the Greek, obviously, but I'm going back to this quote that I saw from what they call the early Greek philosophers, which was, if the horses had gods, they would make them horses. You know what I mean? Like of course, we don't know if the horses have gods. We just assume they don't. But if the horses had gods, they would be horses, right? They would be like horse gods and stuff. As to say that, we expect every creature on this planet, if they can, form those conceptions, to form the conception of a divine entity that reflects them, right? But that's just a part of life. You know, it's not necessarily the case that there's a horse god and an ant god and a human god. You know, it's just a matter of, you know, humans have a limitation. You know, not just humans, but like all animals have a limitation, and that limitation can be exploited by other people. You know what I mean? So, like for instance, my son. So that's a good thing. Like sometimes you just got to go by what's natural, what's nature. And so my son does not have any exposure to religion, right? And so he has no religious inclinations. You get what I'm saying? So like he doesn't pray for anything. You know what I mean? He asks for things. You know what I'm saying? But he doesn't pray for anything. He doesn't go to bed and, you know, close his eyes and say, I wish I had, you know, none of that. He has no, unfortunately, he doesn't really have too many worldly desires either, you know? A lot of things that we have, like for instance, even like money, he doesn't value money. And I mean, I didn't value money when I was his age either. He's only 8. And I didn't value money for a minute, you know? But that's the thing. It's like another child at 8 would definitely value money, you know? Another child at 8 might even be like know to pose with money. My father, I brought my son over to his grandfather, my father, and my son was like, what did he do? Oh, yeah. My father decided to give him like a $5 bill. And when we were leaving, he was like, do you have your money with you? And apparently the money was laying down on the couch. He didn't even put it in his pocket. You know? Like, he didn't even put it in his pocket. Like, he didn't even care. And then when I was talking to him about the money, he just handed it over to me. I didn't even like say, give me the money or anything. He just saw that he had $5. And I was like, oh, cool, you have money. Blah, 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 blah. And he was just like, here you go. Like, what am I going to do with this? You know? But again, a lot of other children are like wouldn't do that. You know, like a lot of other children wouldn't do that. A lot of other children know the value of money. A lot of other children, you know, do commerce on their own, obviously. A lot of other children, you know, have parents who really tell them, hey, look, hold on to your money. And, you know, a lot of other children even have allowances. He doesn't do any of that. He just gets what he wants sometimes. Not all the time, obviously. Like, he wants pizza all the time, and I don't give him that. But you know, like if I'm not dieting, sure. Anyway, sorry, but that was so that just to clarify, you know, just in case, because Dessalines is a great individual, and I mean this doesn't take away from him. This is it's normal for humans to be born in religious or spiritual communities because that is the biggest majority on the planet. Like that's just the biggest majority on the planet. It's not any fault of anybody who it's not because, you know, whatever. It's just simply like it's just simply a huge belief system. Like it's just simply a really, really huge belief system. And you know, especially on this part of the world, and not just this part of the world, but especially on this part of the world where everything was replaced by religious people. You know what I mean? So the Europeans were religious people at the time of colonization, and they replaced everything that was here. You know? So, yeah, I mean, like, obviously, I'll tell you this. There are, like, hunter-gatherers, for instance, who were atheistic or those sorts of things in Africa. But, one, we don't, like, obviously... Like if you're in the West, you know you have no relation to them, and 2, you know, obviously hunter gatherers are being wiped out. Outside of that, you know, you didn't have like the I'm not going to say like a lot of people were spiritual, but again, it's hard to say. But essentially, because we are religious, we tend to mirror religion with spirituality. We tend to mirror spirituality with religion, and in that way, we say that the spiritual people are also religious. But honestly, I think that a lot of human history really is a promotion of science, okay? But the science is told in a mythological way, and that mythology then becomes, like spirituality, right? And that spirituality, we look at it like religious. If you say, like for instance, go to the ancient Kemet, and I know this is a little bit distraction, but you go to ancient Kemet and you say to yourself, like ancient Egypt, you say, or ancient Kemet, you say, the Neteru. But like if you look at the word Neteru, you see the relationship with nature, right? And so the idea was, they were speaking about aspects of nature, in their perfect form. Or even if you open up, if you look at Plato and you say, oh, maybe they're speaking of the ideal form of nature, then that borders on to what we consider religious thinking, but it really isn't. You know what I mean? It's just how to simplify science for a people who might not, where not everybody's scientific. Sorry, that's a little bit of distraction. So Brother Macari says, peace and black power. You need your background in always hard to see what you have scrolling bottom of the screen. Yeah, that's a good idea too. I could just put something behind it. Afrojam says, what's good, my Oni? My Oni, okay. Hope you and your picnic doing good. You already know. He says, how you doing? He says, I'm good, you. Yeah, I should actually put a background on that. That's a smart idea. Because I was like, what font should I use? Because I was trying to get a scroll bar. I mean, I was trying to get the letters to have an outline themselves. But I only looked it up just now. And I didn't have time to implement it. But like, that's also smart. Just to get a colored background and just do that. I can probably do that pretty quickly. Actually, probably not. Yeah, I probably can't. Well, no, I can't. I'll need to make a background or something. So yeah, that's a good idea. I'll do that another time. Appreciate it. Let's go to the chat. So, sorry, somebody said he said that was my was a mistake. Well, I like how it flows. Yeah, I mean it was a little yeah, okay. So it's a little bit okay. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I can't it's an interesting flow. Just threw me off a bit. You already know. Like, see, as you said, sometimes you gotta like that's how you check people. You just gotta say things and see how they react. You know what I mean? There's some dudes who call us. I don't know, in the conscious space. There's some dudes who call brothers beloved. Every time they do that, man, I just pause, man. I'm just like, wait, what? What you mean beloved? What? Okay. All right, that's what you're doing. But yeah, I was yeah, you like, hey, you like, what's up, Oni? I'm like, yeah, all right, what's good? He's like, what's up, my Oni? You're like, okay. Okay, all right. How you doing? All right. At that signal, with the justice of God has urged, your hand, righteously armed, have brought the axe upon the ancient tree of slavery and prejudice. In vain had time, and more especially the infernal politics of Europeans, surrounded it with triple brass. You have stripped it of its armor, you have placed it upon your hearts, that you may become, like your natural enemies, cruel and merciless. So he's like, look, we're going to become cruel and merciless like our enemies. Like an overflowing might torrent that tears down all opposition, your vengeful fury has carried away everything in its impetuous course. Thus perish all tyrants over innocence, all oppressors of mankind. So, and this is the thing too, like, this is why I tell you guys, one of my achievements in life, honestly, I don't talk about it too much, but you know how they say 2 wrongs don't make a right? One of my achievements was looking at that phrase and realizing, it's not 2 wrongs don't make a right. It's that I think it's like opposing wrong makes a right. You get what I'm saying? So like there's positive, like the idea is this. 2 wrongs don't make a right says don't do wrong because if you do wrong, that doesn't mean you're right. But realistically, if somebody else is doing wrong, what is right is to oppose that person doing wrong. You know what I mean? So somebody, so I'll take it this way. Somebody's beating up a woman in the streets or something like that, right? And like she doesn't deserve it. Okay, she's not like a molester or some shit. She's just some random. He's beating up a random woman in the street, right? To oppose that dude or woman or whatever, to oppose that person is right. Now, on the 2 wrongs that make a right thing, you might say, well, beating up that dude because he's beating up that woman isn't right. You know what I mean? That's what it's saying. Two wrongs don't make it right. So you really want to, so one of the things about, like I said, a lot of it is religious indoctrination, honestly. But one of the things about religious indoctrination or even miseducation generally is that it will sometimes get you thinking two wrongs don't make it right. So what Dessalines right here is addressing is saying, hey, you know what? You were cruel and merciless against the oppressor, but that's what should happen to tyrants. That's what should happen to oppressors. And he kind of has to affirm that in the minds of whoever is listening. And I want people to know that it's a common rhetorical device. It's a common rhetorical device. But we'll just leave it there. We got Revolutionary Matron here. Revolutionary Matron. Make sure you guys subscribe to Revolutionary Matron. I'm telling you, she's reading Chancellor Williams' Destruction of Black Civilization at this moment. She's giving excellent commentary, and she knows her stuff. Okay, so you guys subscribe. I don't know why, but the subscriber count for her isn't even that high right now, and they took me off for some reason. So if you were already subscribed and you noticed, hey, I don't get any notifications or something, they might have unsubscribed you. Okay, they might have unsubscribed you. So just make sure you're subscribed. I think you could just really do that easily. If you're in the YouTube chat, you just go next to her account. You'll see some dots appear. You press the dots and it says, like next to her chat, it says, go to channel. Go to channel. See if you're subscribed. If you aren't subscribed, then definitely do it, because that's really excellent content. Okay. So let's say, what then? Bent in for many ages under an iron yoke, the sport of the passions of men, of their injustice and the caprice of fortune. So you're going to see the language doesn't really make too much sense. So I'm going to read the version that I rewrote, but the reason why I want to keep this version is just because there were some things I took out. So I'm not going to go over that, but like you can kind of see it just doesn't make any sense sometimes. What then? Bent for many ages under an iron yoke? Like should we be bent over the ages under an iron yoke? The sport of the passions of men, of their injustice, of the caprice of fortune, mutilated victims of the cupidity of white Frenchmen, after having fattened with our toil these insatiate bloodsuckers. Hold on a second, let me just turn off my phone, because I don't know, people are just let me just turn off my phone for a second. All right. Mutilated victims of the cupidity of white Frenchmen, after fattened with our toil these insatiate bloodsuckers, with a patience and resignation unexampled, we should again have seen that sacrilegious horde make an attempt upon our destruction without any distinction of sex or age, and we men without energy, of no virtue, of no delicate sensibility, should not we have plunged in their breast the dagger of desperation? So you get what he's saying. He's like, look, we shouldn't be like this is what slavery was like in Haiti. Okay, the passions of Wazungu, their injustice, and only free by fortune, right? That's how we were living, mutilated by white French people, and they were getting fattened on our toil, and they were should we? And they were not distinguishing between gender, sex. They were not distinguishing between age. They were killing or raping young men, young women, boys, girls, old men, old women. No respect whatsoever for you as a human being. That's when you should kill them. That's what Dessalines is saying. Okay? And I had to put that in there, right? Where is the vile Haitian so unworthy of his generation, who thinks he has not accomplished the decrees of the Eternals by exterminating these bloody, thirsty tigers? If there is one, let him fly. Indignant nature discards him from our bosom. Let him hide his shame far from hence. The air we breathe is not suited for his gross organs. It is the pure air of liberty, august and triumph. So he's like, is there a Haitian who doesn't think it's worthy to kill these tyrants? And if there is, get the fuck out of here. Okay? Get out of here. Do me a favor, please. Get out of here, man. Get out of here, man. That's what Dessalines was saying. And again, this is an example of, this is one of the things that people need to hear. Like, what is moral? What is just? You know? And a lot of people, in fact, I can say this. So when we talk about the topic of religion, there was this really interesting Twitter thread. I don't know if I could find it, but there was this really interesting Twitter thread where this guy was like, he was going over the different things that indigenous people would say when they encountered Western civilization. And some of them were like, hey, how do you live where 50% of you are well housed, well fed, and well eating, and 50% of you are poor, begging, and so on and so forth. And this indigenous guy, like, I don't know, Native American or some shit, or Native Cambodian, whatever, right? Not religious guy at all. He says, wow, if that were happening in my society, he's like, how is it that the poor people don't kill the rich people? You understand? And if you really look at it from the perspective of an indigenous person, it is incredibly ludicrous that people will voluntarily live in shacks when other people are living, in a thing. And I'm not saying, and of course, we, in this society, we understand why somebody would live in a shack. You know what I mean? Like, we could rationalize it because we were, indoctrinated in this society. So we fully understand how somebody can live in a shack while somebody lives in a mansion, obviously. But in the indigenous mind, or in some indigenous minds, you just can't, it just can't be fathomed. Because just imagine you're in an indigenous situation where everybody, helps each other out for housing, or at least everybody can get good housing pretty quickly, pretty easily. And again, like, everybody kind of knows this about indigenous people. And I say that to say, I say that in the context of reading Wealth of Nations, where, essentially, Adam Smith was saying about indigenous people, he was saying that nothing they own was older than 3 days' labor. You know what I mean? So, like, a house was built in 3 days, and everybody knew that you could build a house in 3 days. You could even build a house, take a little longer if you have, like, better material. Hold on a second. Okay. Hold on a second. Yeah. Sorry. So yeah. So, I mean, so a lot of people, I really want to bring up the quote, but I guess I can't, because I don't know how I'd find it. I'd have to scroll through a whole bunch of Twitter, and, who wants to really do that? Let me see what the comments are like, though. Although maybe I could bring it up later. I don't know. But let me see what the comments are like. Brother Bakari says, y'all go to my community tab and thumbs up the pic of the young lady happy to receive a for her 4-year-old sister. Okay. Yeah, sorry. So go to Brother Bakari's channel. I don't know what he wrote. Thumbs up for the pic of the young lady happy to receive for her 4-year-old sister. Happy to receive her 4-year-old sister, maybe, right? So you guys check that out, definitely in the community tab. But let's so I'll go back to the thing. So he's like, you should kill the tyrants, right? And that's just a normal thing for humans. But we kind of don't think so. Like, we're kind of the opinion that sometimes you shouldn't kill somebody for their property. But, like, that's not a global belief. I just want people to know that. Like, some people do believe you should kill people for their property. And I'm not saying that they believe in stealing sometimes, but some people do, obviously. But, that's the thing about the human condition, is that the belief systems are really divergent, but what you believe is right really does come from indoctrination. It really does come from, like your own, like essentially what society has told you is right versus what society has told you is wrong. And that's why you have the diversity. You have, I think we watched it yesterday on Shoot the Breeze. Make sure you guys check out Shoot the Breeze, where some kids were sent to pummel a grown damn man, and, to us, to most people, that's just wrong. Like, why would a mother send her son to pummel an old man, her sons to pummel an old man, let alone, her small children? And, the context was that the man cheated on her, which is like, we wouldn't think that's just or right. But again, she did. And again, those children did. And of course, nobody blames the children. We're just saying that, the human condition has such a wide range of thought that, somebody could think something that's awkward is right. But we're going to keep reading. So he says, you have rendered to these true cannibals war for war, crime for crime, outrage for outrage. Yes, I have saved my country. I have avenged America. And again, remember, America is not the United States of America. America is the Western Hemisphere. Like the entire Western Hemisphere is North America and South America, right? So he's pretty much talking about Haiti, I guess, but he's also talking about America in the sense of whatever. So he says, and the reason why, again, is because we're going to go over Guadeloupe and so forth. So he says, the avowal I make of it in the face of earth and heaven constitutes my pride and my glory. Of what consequence to me is the opinion which contemporary and future generations will pronounce upon my conduct. So he's like, look, people in the future may say I was bad. Right? He's like, I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about right now what I did. I did good. I performed my duty. I enjoy my own approbation. For me, that is sufficient. But what do I say? The preservation of my unfortunate brothers, testimony of my own conscience are not my only recompense. I have seen, and now look, we're going to talk about mixed race people and pure black people, and we're going to see why they were in the Haitian Revolution. Okay? So he says, preservation of my unfortunate brothers, testimony of my conscience are not my only recompense. I have seen two classes of men born to cherish, assist, and succor one another, mixed in a word and blended together, crying for vengeance and disputing the honor of the first blow. So again, and I say this, actually, Revolutionary Matron would like this too, because one of the things about Chancellor Williams, which I agree with, is that he does it like mulattoes. Okay, he doesn't like mixed people, and I agree with that. Right, I think that mixed people shouldn't, hold, positions of authority. And I think that's what reversed the progress of Haiti. Okay, but we have to understand the context as to why the mixed people were in the revolution for Haiti, right? And Dessalines is going to communicate. It might not have been that they would have won if they didn't blend together. Like if the blacks and the yellows didn't fight, the whites together, right? And he's saying that because there was earlier revolutions that failed, that didn't use the blacks and the yellows, right? So again, this is why, and the reason why this is so important is because of this. We don't know this history. We're not taught this history. White people have no interest in telling us this history, and we don't, like a lot of times we don't even educate ourselves, right? So Dessalines knew about this history. So somehow this was history that reached even enslaved Africans, right? Somehow. But like the record is pretty much gone. Now you can look it up on Wikipedia and you can find that this is a verified story. The thing is that, and I'm not just saying Wikipedia because Wikipedia is whatever. I'm saying it's a verified history. It's just that it kind of reminds you that history has a purpose. When you're teaching people history, it has a purpose. Okay? People pick and choose different stories to share with you to fit to suit the worldview that they want you to know. Like you're never going to know all 200,000 years of human history. No one's interested in teaching you all 200,000 years of history. Just think about how many things happened in 2013. Think about how many things already happened in 2014. That times 200,000. You can't possibly know it, right? And again, and when I say everything that happened I'll say it this way. When I say everything that happened in 2014 or 2013 or whatever, right? There is so many things that do not make the news. Okay? Like, for instance, let's say my son learning mathematics, right? Or my son learning to do, like, factors or some shit, right? That's not in, nobody's gonna teach that fucking history, right? What I'm saying is that there's so many things that happen, like Odie crosses the street. Now, obviously, these are small stories, but that's that's the magnitude of human history, and so people are going to tell you only things that suit their worldview in terms of what's important, right? And that's kind of what let's say his story is about, right? So anyway, let me see the comments before I continue, because this is an interesting topic. So Brother McCarty says, I meant happy to receive a book. Oh, okay. I think it's a 4-year-old sister. Only reason I mentioned that in your chat, you do book reading. I'm doing my part for our children to read. All right. Brother McCarty says, y'all run the Cash App for this bomb reading. Run the damn Cash App. Okay. Tell them to run the damn Cash App. Okay, yeah. All right, fam. If you want to support, you could do the Cash App. I can't do that. Look, I'll tell you the truth. You know what happened when I was in high school? I was sitting next to this dude, and I jokingly told him, run your pockets. And, because it was just a joke. And then he, punched me, I guess. And he was like, don't say that. You know what I mean? He was like, don't say that. Because I guess he was more familiar with hood life, I guess. And it's like, if you say that to the wrong person, and I'm not saying that I fear some consequence from saying that on the internet. Obviously not, because nobody's going to think I'm robbing them. But I remember vaguely this guy was like, yeah, don't say that because it's, like people are going to misinterpret that, He says, that sounds like a punk. Run that damn. Well, again, I'm not on that speed, bros. But yeah, if y'all want to support, you can. But it is what it is. I'm not. Yeah, you making it more. You making it more than it has to be. So all right. Appreciate everybody for the Cash App. So all right, so say black and yellows, whom the refined duplicity of European has for a long time endeavored to divide. So again, you see, he's saying black and now remember, yellows are mulattoes. Okay, it says black, and so I kind of took this out of the Book of Power, by the way. So I took this out of the Book of Power. You guys definitely check out the Book of Power, right? So he says black and yellows, whom the refined duplicity of Europeans has for a long time endeavored to divide, you are now consolidated and make but one family. So you see, this is Dessalines. And again, these mulattoes are going to end up killing him. So I'm not saying that he's right. I'm not saying that he's perfect. I'm saying that this is Dessalines. Okay? Black and yellow, whom the refined duplicity of Europeans has a long time endeavored to divide, you are now consolidated and make but one family. But he's going to give you a reason as to why. Okay? Without doubt, it was necessary that our perfect reconciliation should be sealed with the blood of your butchers. Similar calamities has hung over your prescribed heads. A similar order to strike your enemies has signalized you. The like fate is reserved for you, and the like interest must therefore render you forever one, indivisible, and inseparable. Now remember, again, these people are going to kill him. The mulattoes are going to kill him. And they're going to take over Haiti, and they're going to put Haiti inside of debt to France. Okay? So they're not. I'm not saying. Now, who cares? I'm not saying all mulattoes are bad. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that this is the wider historical context. Okay, that even though he's praising them right now, even though they were, because of course he's going to praise them, right? Because they just fought a successful revolution. Remember, if the Haitian Revolution did not succeed, and the general, I can't remember his name. But the general of France, one of them, one of the main ones, said if he had won, he was going to kill every black person who was over the age of 14. Okay? That was his plan. He said, look, like they were not fighting, like they were fighting for life or death. Every single black person, or maybe it was very black man, I don't know, but every single black person was going to be killed who was over 14 or maybe over 12, whatever the age was. That was the word of the leading general against Haiti, against Dessalines. Dessalines made the guy walk afterward. He said, you know what? You were going to kill us, but guess what? You can leave. You can go to France, you piece of shit. But anyway, but like, yeah, that's the, Like again, this is not a game. So when you choose to do a revolution, just think about it this way. Think about it this way. Like let's say if African Americans were, more, as revolutionary as some people like to brag that they are, right? Or even just think about, like if in the event of, or even think about it this way, in fact, there are recorded race riots, we call them race riots in America. And a lot of times, if you look at the casualty list between white and black, the casualty list for blacks is huge. Is oftentimes much bigger. I'm not saying always, but again, the white man's not going to tell you all the times that he lost. He's going to tell you all the times he won. So sometimes he'll tell you, in order to scare you, hey, you know what? They killed 30 of us. We killed 2,500 of them. But that's also how white folk think. They say, hey, you know what? If you're going to fight us, we're going to. And like, just look at Palestine. Look what's happening in Palestine, where they said 35,000 people were killed, and the reasoning is this one day of attacks. Where I don't know how many they said. They might say 37 people might have died or some shit, right? 37 people died. 35,000 people were killed in response. 35,000. Okay, 35,000. A lot of them women and children. But that's how white people think. So before we say, hey, you know what, Dessalines, these mulattoes are going to kill you, or hey, you know what, Dessalines, you can't trust mulattoes. True, but they're up against the Europeans who are on record, who even told him, we're going to kill everybody over 14. So anyway, I mean, I can look it up. I don't know if you guys can find the information before I do, but maintain the precious concord, that happy harmony amongst yourselves. It is maintain the precious concord. So he's like, maintain peace between blacks and yellows, that happy harmony amongst yourselves. It is a pledge to your happiness, your salvation, and your success. It is the secret of being invincible, right? And so Dessalines believed, hey, look, the reason why we won is because the blacks and mulattoes teamed up. And I mean, and it might be true in this particular situation. Okay, it might be true in this particular situation. Like it might be. I mean, I can't say one way or the other, but that's the thing about history or even reality. Like I say, I go by probability. There was a chance that Haiti wouldn't have won, and there's a chance that the mulattoes pushed Haiti towards victory, over the edge towards victory, or even just not fighting the mulattoes pushed them over to victory, because again, you also have to realize this. Before during the Haitian Revolution, like in the early days, there was a black army and there was a mulatto army, and they would sometimes fight, if I'm not mistaken, or if they wouldn't, I don't know, but it was the consolidation between the two that made a larger force. But essentially, the mulattoes had their own army separate from the blacks, and then they consolidated too. Forecast says that was a mistake by Dessalines. Well, again, like I said, so we're gonna see the details. Afro Jam says that's why I love Ginot Boulet. So I don't know who that is, but you could let us know. I can't remember what is my Cash App. I think it's ABS Oni or Oni ABS. I'll have to look it up for a second because I'm not 100% sure if it's. Sometimes you can't tell if it's a ABS Oni or Oni ABS. But let's see. Again, forecast. So again, we can't say one way or the other because again, he's gonna go over Guadeloupe and he's gonna go over Martinique and he's gonna show what happens when the blacks and the yellows didn't work together, right? Brother Macari says, put the Cash App in the chat. I can't understand what I see. Enjoy everything running together with the background. Yeah, my mistake. I'll fix this a bit. Afrojam says he would have dealt with everyone non-black. Dessalines and others gave him the death penalty because they were afraid to share power with him. Oh, okay. He is pronounced Ginot Boulet. Okay. Ginot Boulet. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, too, about, that's why I said war doesn't determine who's right. War determines who's left. You know what I'm saying? And this is what white people tell you. War does not determine who is right. War determines who is left. If we could start a revolution, us, and anybody with authority can say, you know what? I don't like the cut of Oni's jib. I don't like something about Oni. Okay? And in this revolution that we're fighting together, right? I get killed. Or even check this out. We could even agree with me. And then, I rush into the battlefield, or I don't even rush into the battlefield. Let's say I'm in the headquarters and the headquarters is attacked. And then I die. That's the end of that. So it's like, really, again, it comes to the probability. So I can finally see the thing. So it's ABS Oni. So for you guys who feel like it, ABS Oni is the Cash App. So anyway, his name is Gino. He says, I meant letting the French walk away showing mercy. Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't think the guy came back. But I mean, I don't think he came back, the particular guy. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing about war too. It's like again, like I said, it's not a game. I mean, it's a game and it's not a game. It's a game in the sense that men are fighting and they know they're fighting, and to some extent they're enjoying it. You know what I mean? On the other hand, it's not a game because people lose their lives. A lot of people lose their lives. So yeah, I personally don't think you should have made that French guy walk. But at the end of the day, like that's what that's something that men do. Sometimes. I can say this. I have a brother who's a ne'er-do-well, and this guy would sometimes go out and fight homeless people. And the stories he tells about fighting homeless people is that, and like why he did this, I don't know. I guess he's a ne'er-do-well. I think he was, a druggie, low-key. But, but anyway, so, and this was like right back in the day. But like, the thing about that is that, the honor that he and the homeless people showed with each other was kind of, humorous, in a sense. I think like they're fighting, they're squabbling, they're just punching each other or whatever. I don't know. And then one of them hits the other in the balls and they're like, hey, time out. And then they like, like it's just kind of like they're fighting, but they're not fighting to the death. You know what I mean? And so, again, I'm not in that position, so I don't know. But I guess general to general, you kick the other general's ass, you say, okay, have a nice day. You know what I mean? And that's just the mentality that some people carry on, because it's like, it's weird, but like sometimes you kind of, I don't want to say respect, but you kind of, like they're kind of your opponent. It's like almost like you're playing a game, like a chess game. But again, like I said, there's real human consequences. But it's like after the chess game, you shake the guy's hand and he walks away. But anyway, let's go to the this paragraph. So this is the most important paragraph, and I think I took it out of my own book because I was just like, I don't like it, but that's why I'm reading it now, because like I said, there's more people are in the chat than who have read my book, so it's it's not like I did too much damage. It is necessary in order to strengthen these ties to recall to your remembrance the catalog of atrocities committed against our species. The massacre of the entire population of this island, mediated in a silence and sang-froid of the cabinet. The execution of the abominable project, to me unblushingly proposed and already begun by the French, with the calmness and serenity of the countenance accustomed to similar crime. So he's saying that obviously they already massacred a whole bunch of people in Haiti. Okay? And the French are willing to do it again. They're calm and serene about it. Okay? You got to remember that the French are used to just slaughtering everybody. So he says, Guadeloupe, pillaged and destroyed, its ruins still reeking with the blood of children, women, and old men put to the sword. Again, this was Guadeloupe. Pelagie himself, the victim of this craftiness, after having been basely betrayed by his country and his brothers, the brave and immortal de Grasse, blown up into the air with the fort which he defended, rather than accept their offered chains. So this is the battle that we don't know. These are the people we don't know about. So again, this is a warrior. Now again, he might be mixed or he might be African. We'll look it up soon. But Pelagie, Del Grasse, these would have been names in the history of either the Mulattoes or the Africans. We'll look it up. I'll just look up Del Grasse really quickly. Okay, so this is it. So this is on here, Black Pass. So I don't know if he's mulatto or if he's black. So right here. So yeah, he's a mulatto, interracial couple. So again, I mean, I guess we wouldn't really know him, but he's defending Guadeloupe without the aid of, like, without black people. It's just the mulattoes uprising to do their own quote unquote Haitian revolution. And what happens as a result of his struggle, and this is why I didn't keep it in the book, is that the French then wipe out the people of Guadeloupe. So he resists for only, because again, remember this. These people, is it just one? Oh no, I think he was actually fighting for the blacks too. I don't know, but these people are fighting against a real army. They hold out for 18 days. Now, obviously, they could have succeeded or they didn't succeed. Again, so I guess Pelege was the white boy. Oh no, Pelege was the governor of some whatever. You guys can read it. The point is that this is real history that we don't know, but Dessalines heard of it. Okay, Dessalines heard of it. He says inspired by the American Revolution, so on and so forth. Dessalines heard of it. And that's a really important. So Pelage was also mixed race, and so Dessalines hears about some mixed race people or some yellow people who fight, who take up arms against the French, and then the French wipe them out. Okay, the French wiped them out. And that's a thing. So he says, so this is like one of Dessalines', I don't want to say heroes, but you get what I'm saying. He says, this is a magnanimous warrior. That noble death, far from enfeebling our courage, serves only to rouse within us the determination of avenging of following thee. Shall I again recall to your memory the plots lately framed at Jeremy, the terrible explosion which was the result, notwithstanding the generous pardon granted to these incorrigible beings at the expulsion of the French army, and dread harbinger of death, the frightful despotism exercised at Martinique. Unfortunate people of Martinique, could I but fly to your assistance and break your fetters. Alas, an insurmountable barrier separates us. Perhaps a spark from the same flame which inflames us will light your bosom. Perhaps at the sound of this commotion, suddenly awakened from your lethargy, with arms in your hand, you will reclaim your sacred and indescribable rights. So, you kind of see, he's like, look, the mulattoes were fighting the Europeans, but because they fought the Europeans alone, they lost. And again, remember, this struggle is only 18 days. It is very difficult. Because look at what's happening in modern-day Palestine, like I said. 3 months, 35,000 people killed. And you got to realize the Ukrainian war was going on for 2 years, and it was like 2,000 people killed or some shit like that. You know what I mean? So what's happening in Palestine is a slaughter. And that's the kind of thing that was happening in these islands or in the Americas back in those days. But people fought, and then they said, you know what? If we work together, maybe we can take these guys down. And that's what happened in Haiti. I'm not saying that they needed to work together. I'm saying that they were familiar with a history where they didn't work together and they were slaughtered wholesale. Okay? So after the time, and everybody knows this. At the time of the Haitian Revolution, in fact, they said Toussaint Louverture read these words, right? They said that there were two free black, I wouldn't say colonies or whatever, but two free black colonies before the Haitian Revolution. And that those two were basically the only two examples of thing. And those were maroon towns, So, I'm guessing they meant the Maroons of Jamaica and the Maroons of Brazil. Those were the only two free black people at the time. And then the Haitian, they said that there will be like a revolution somewhere in the black world. And then Toussaint Louverture read those words and was like, hold my beer, Anyway, but I say, after the terrible example which I have given, the sooner or later divine justice will unchain on earth. So again, I don't know if he was saying Martinique already happened or was happening at the time. So that's why I didn't look it up. And he didn't give a name. Or did he give a name? Jeremy? Let's see. Oh, yeah, he said Jeremy tried. So Jeremy in Martinique. Let's see if we can find that. Jeremy Martinique. So, yeah, obviously you can't. Is this it? No, so that's the problem with these kind of things is that Jeremy might be a popular name. Martinique Revolution. Let's see if we can find that. In the south, no. Gray chose to conquer Martinique. The Haitian Revolution. Jeremy's. So I don't know. I feel like this might be, but it also feels like these are quotes for, Jeremy for Saint Martinique. So I don't know. So I guess maybe no. I can't tell. I don't know. Let me see if I can. I just want to find out if this is. We'll put down French. But see, I feel like French is gonna give us something related to today. Yeah, like it might not put us back to. See, if he gave some years, we might be able to. Let's say French army. That kind of navigates it. And this is kind of how you do research, by the way. You just. Okay, so Jeremy might have been a town. No. I don't know. Who's Elizabeth? Who's this? 1883, 1798. Born in 1798. No, I think this is too soon, so I don't know. Fled from the violence of... Yeah, this is somebody else. It seems interesting, but it's somebody else. So I can't tell. Leclerc expedition in Saint Domingue and... Yeah, I can't tell. So, but essentially he's citing some sort of event. I think I found it a long time ago, but like what can you like? I don't know. I wrote the book like 4 years ago or something like that. Like so, it's like, oh damn, it's might be 5 years now. Actually, yeah, I wrote it in 2019, so it's 2024. So yeah, so I can't really pull up everything I know from back then. But you see, it's like he's talking about something. Let me look at the chat. Maybe somebody knows. Let's see. So Jeanot Boulet was prophesied by Bookman to be one of the leaders of the revolution. Oh, cool. Some of the other original leaders ended succeeding to Spain. Forecast, so we got some historians in the chat. Forecast says the French wouldn't have let him walk. They didn't even let Toussaint walk, and he just wanted to be accepted by them. Yeah, of course. The French were, they said that they were going to kill everybody above the age of 14. I should look that up. It's just I don't know how to say Haitian Revolution. I misspelled that. Everyone over 14 or some shit like that. Yeah, I can't even see. I can't remember the guy's name. Oh, Rochambeau, I think. Rochambeau. What did Rochambeau say? I don't know how to spell that word. He would do... I'm gonna have to go to freaking ChatGPT and just ask ChatGPT. Rochambeau. Let's do that. Rochambeau. I wish it's hard to tell. But yeah, he was trying to do a genocide. Tried to surrender to the French at the time. Anyway. Yeah, I can't even tell. So, but yeah, Rochambeau, I think it's Rochambeau. He was like, look, we will kill everybody there. But it's just hard to, like, Google's not that great, And I don't really want to bring up ChatGPT. Should I do ChatGPT? Y'all want me to do ChatGPT or something? But let's see. Let me just keep going to the comments. The French wouldn't have let him walk. No, they wouldn't. So he slaughtered the French, even lapping up blood and saying how sweet it is. Sick, but he had a purpose. Okay. Toussaint Louverture hated how brutal he was. Well, I mean, I can see that. I can't even his death. No, I'm joking. I wouldn't do that. Correction, not Dessalines, Jean Francois. Oh, okay. Who's Jean Francois? Is that a mulatto? Jean Pierre, Toussaint Louverture, and George Bissau got rid of Jeannot because of his brutality and because he could get in the way of inevitable negotiations with the white French. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like I said, war is not about who's right. It's about who's left. Those three were other leaders of the early revolution after Boukman's death. Then Dessalines, who was up under Louverture, became one of the leaders. If it was the Caribbean, it possibly Jamaica, and if the Garifuna in Saint Lucia. Yeah, I'm not sure. I thought it was Brazil, but it could be Garifuna, like you said. Francois and Boussou worked for Spanish, and Boussou ended up in Florida. Okay. He said, kill everybody on the island and just import more slaves from Africa. Yeah, I think he had an age limit, though. But, like, yeah, exactly. Rochambeau was about killing everybody on the island. Or it could have been, like, over the age of 8, you know? But, yeah, that's what I'm saying. These white folk that's how they are. And, like again, like I said, you know, there are modern examples of, and not just, you know, Palestine. I'm just saying that because it's, you know, literally happening right now. But, like, you know, Namibia, you know, Swahili Coast, Zanzibar, you know, like just countless examples of, or even like I said, the race riots in America. There are countless examples of white folk. I mean, like essentially, white people, you know, have a belief, and it's not just white people, but like most people have this belief that all's fair in love and war, you know, but really all is fair in war in the sense of. Some people believe in winning and winning absolutely. In fact, the only people who do not believe in winning absolutely that we know historically are African people. Okay? For whatever reason, and I think I might have to include this in my book, so I'm going to make a note to include this in my book. But there's this quote about, like in the ancient world where they saw the Africans, like the ancient Kushites, let's say, coming into Kemet. And they were like, why are these people not not doing burning fields and stuff? You know? Like, why are these people not doing burning fields? So, by the way, I appreciate the Cash App, everybody who sent. But anyway, so they're like, why are these people not doing burning fields? So, I'm actually scrolling through my book right now to make sure that I put that in because I think that's one of the more important quotes that I kind of just forgot. So let me just write that down. It's just a quick note. You guys can't see the book obviously, but what was I saying? Like history of genocide. I'll say history of genocide by Europeans that Africans didn't do, you know? Now, I'm not saying that Africans never committed genocide. I don't know if they have, but like, I don't know an example. But I'm not saying that we never had. What I'm saying is that, like ancient Africa, like they were, the world was in awe. Like that's another thing that people don't understand. Like the Bible is made up, obviously. Like the Old Testament is made up. But the reason why Egypt is so central to the Old Testament is because everybody knew Egypt. It's kind of like even today, everybody knows America. You know, if I told you guys, hey guys, I went to school in America, like you go to a bunch of people on the planet, right? And you say, I went to school in America, whereas I went to school in Zurich, or I went to school in Guam, right? People, like everybody, like most people are going to say, oh, I know what you're talking about. You know, you went to school in America. Makes sense. I know where that is. If I tell you I went to school in Zurich, okay, where is that? You know? I say I went to school in Guam. Okay, where is that? Now Zurich is in Switzerland, and Guam is above Australia, right? You know, to the north of Australia. But like, yeah, nobody freaking knows where these places are. And shout out to like I said, Shoot the Breeze. I learned about Guam yesterday. But the point is that yeah, in the thing about the Old Testament and shit is that they're centered around Egypt. To the point where it's like, okay, I know what you're talking about. You know what I mean? Like it's the world power. It's the world power of the time, right? It's the most impressive nation at the time. It's the most impressive people at the time. You know, because again, like I said, the when Taharqa and Pianke, when they reconquer Egypt, they are so noble that it's spoken about around the world that these people are like offering terms of surrender that are pretty damn good, which is just unheard of in the ancient world. So in the ancient world, two people fight, they are kicking ass and taking names, okay? And they only accept surrender if you like humiliate yourself. You know, okay, you surrender, we're gonna take all your men, we're gonna take all your children, we're gonna take, like that type of shit. And the ancient Egyptians were like, look, we don't want to fight, okay? You can surrender, and all you gotta do is pay us a little tribute. You know what I mean? Like, we don't even want your shit, And the world was like, what? So it's like, yeah. But most people, like, especially during that time, and even today, are kind of like, we're gonna fuck shit up. So you could say it's a flaw of ours. I don't think so. I don't think it's a human flaw. But I mean, obviously, you could say it could have backfired. I'm not going to say, because again, I don't think that's what happened. Like in ancient Egypt, it lost to like you gotta remember this history. Ah, shit. I'm about to say you gotta remember. I think it's Sumerians, maybe. No, not Sumerians. I can't remember her name, but I just wrote about it. Honestly, maybe I could just. I just wrote about it, so I should know. But they lost to a certain group. I'm going to just see if I can find the names, because it's one of those names you should not forget as an African people. So I'm a little embarrassed that I forgot. But that's why, again, you write books. Sometimes people say you write books so that you can forget. But I think like Plato said that shit or something. But some black guy was. I had a colleague who in grad school who was like a philosophy major, and he would tell me random Plato quotes that stuck with me. So don't think I like read Plato that deep. Where I'm just thing. I can't find the name of these people, but I think it starts with either an S or an A. Not sure. Maybe I should check the chat instead of looking through my book. I mean, it's in my other book, but I didn't pull it up. Let me see if the chat is saying anything. But yeah, those other people are the ones who, Assyrians, yeah, there you go. Assyrians, yeah. So the Assyrians, so again, it's not like the ancient Kemet Chu gave, gave mercy to the Assyrians. It's just, and shout out to Afrojam. Like I said, it's good to have historians and stuff inside your chat. But it's not like he gave so it's not like it backfired directly, where you were like, hey, Assyrians, we're going to kick it easy on you. And then because the Assyrians were just stupid brutal. And they conquered, the other people around them. But there was other problems that happened in ancient Africa. So, like, for instance, I think the Phoenicians might have sided with the Assyrians and stuff like that, So it is what it is. But obviously we don't want to repeat that for our own selves. But again, that's just a part of history. I don't look at what we did as a flaw per se. Because it is like that's just our nature, it's I want people to understand this. If you look at other people as having a different nature, you'll be a lot better off. Okay? If you look at all of us as humans and, so on and so forth, you might not, you might not make it. You know what I'm saying? like you might not make it. So I'll just leave it at that. So he says, after the terrible examples which I have just given, the sooner or later divine justice will enchain on earth some mighty winds above the weakness of the vulgar for destruction and terror of the wicked. Tremble, tyrants, usurpers, scourges of the new world. Our daggers are sharpened. Your punishment is ready. 60,000 men. And again, look at this, just 60,000, which again, I want you to realize this is a lot of people. Like, even today, you can't get 60,000 people together. And if you can, you're not going to get them to fight the French or the Americans or the British, And I'm not saying you can't. I'm just saying that it is a huge accomplishment. And this was 200 years ago, where 60,000 men was a larger percentage of people. 60,000 men is not a lot by any stretch of the imagination, but it is a lot for what, for bringing to war at this time. And I just want people to also realize, I think the Assyrians had a military of 30,000 men. So this was the ancient world. And I think that's, it might have been actually 100,000 or 200,000 men. I can't remember the exact number, but the Assyrians were considered a huge military. And for those of you who are curious, why were the Assyrians so successful? The Assyrians did something that nobody else did before. And again, like I said, shout out to Revolutionary Matron, because she pointed this out. The Assyrians had the first standing army in what we call, and as far as we know, in terms of human history. So a standing army is, say, like a full-time standing army, and they equip their people with iron weaponry. So what happens is that they had a full army, full-time, 24/7, and they were very well equipped at the time being, for the time, So most other people did not have full-time standing armies. So today everybody has that. Not everybody, but today one of the secrets that white folk have is they have a full-time standing army. So America's standing army, last time I checked, and this was like 5 years ago, whatever, was 2 million people. Okay, and China's was also 2 million people. That's a lot of people, but it's not that many people, but it's a lot of. That's the standing army. Okay, but it's just a FYI for clarity as to just what this 60,000 means. It's like, yeah, because again, remember the Haitian Revolution, these are 60,000 men equipped or whatever, but they're not necessarily going to be a standing army. They're not there for 24/7. They're just there for the war, which is good, but also not good. You do want a standing army, and that's why, like I said, one of the best books for the European is the Wealth of Nations, because even in that book, he's pointing out, yeah, get yourself a standing army. So, am I gonna say that too? Absolutely. In fact, let me actually, because again, sometimes I like these podcasts because, like I said, you guys are brilliant, and also I can, when I speak freely, I kind of remember some things I might have forgot. So I might not have even said that when I was supposed to, but it's hard. Writing is really hard. I don't know if you guys know, but writing is incredibly hard. So you're gonna see. I'm gonna give you guys the example of what this writing looks like corrected, but also without the mulatto stuff, which is not good. But again, like I said, I don't really want to praise mulattoes personally. So that's probably why I took it out at the time. So 60,000 men equipped, inured to war, obedient to my orders, burned to offer a new sacrifice to the manes of their assassinated brothers. Let that nation come who may be mad and daring enough to attack me. So you see again, and this is where you can see the name Irritated Genius, by the way. But you see, he's like if they didn't kill Dessalines, Haiti might actually be in a good place today. But because they killed Dessalines, Haiti got fucked over. So the yellows did, kill Dessalines, obviously. And then they fucked over Haiti. But a part of it is, like you have to go back to, did Dessalines make some mistakes? Now again, it's hard to say. It's easy to say, what they call Monday morning quarterbacking, where it's like, I guess the assumption is football's on Sunday. So, Monday morning, you're like, hey, you should have done this, you should have done that. This was like, sure, but it's possible that the Haitian Revolution was lost in this alternate universe where the mulattoes do not join the fight, and Dessalines is killed like in his infancy or some shit. You know what I mean? Like we don't know, so we can't say one way or the other. We just know that Dessalines was about it, and he was ready to. He was like, look, if you're mad at me for this, I dare you to attack me. At its approach, the irritated genius of Haiti, irritated genie of Haiti, rising out of the bottom of the ocean, appears. His menacing aspects throws the waves into commotion, excites tempests, and with his mighty hand disperses ships or dashes them in pieces. Now again, this goes back to the religious talk, this goes back to the spiritual talk. He's saying there's a genie in the water that can throw waves at, approaching ships. Is there a genie in the water that throws waves at approaching ships? Very, very unlikely. Okay, I dare to say no. But did he believe that there was a giant magical being underwater that threw waves at incoming ships? Most likely. Did he want people to believe that? Absolutely. And I mean, of course, you do want people to believe that they're safe. Even if now, would I personally lie to people about how they get safe? No. And was there a genie that stopped the ships from France coming in? No, there wasn't. Or did this genie stop the French? No. Not was there a genie? Maybe, possibly. But did he stop it? No. So, because what people don't know is that after Dessalines was killed, the French do come a little later, and they are with a bunch of battleships. And they're like, look, we're either going to invade or you pay us money. And I think not Pétion, maybe it's Pétion, I'm not sure. But one of them was like, yeah, sure, we'll pay you. And the French went back, and then Haiti was like paying that bill for like 100-something years, So, and again, I don't know all the numbers off the top of my head. Guys, I told you, I wrote this book 5 years ago, okay? Let the nation that come into what may be daring enough to attack me. Already its approach, the irritated genies of Haiti, rising out of the bosom of the ocean, appears. His menacing aspect throws the waves into commotion, excites the tempest, and with its mighty hand disperses ships or dashes them in pieces. To his formidable voice, the laws of nature pay obedience. Disease, plague, famine, conflagration, poison are his constant attendants. But why? As again, this is the same thing like religious talk. Okay, there's some powerful entity that will give diseases, plagues, famine, and again, this is in the Old Testament, right? This is how allegedly the Israelis left Egypt, by constant poisoning and things from their genie or their god. But obviously that never happened, But you tell people these stories so that they can, they can feel safe, And we're gonna talk about that more in depth in the next book. But so like I said, shout out to everybody who sent the Cash App. But like if you appreciate that, definitely come through. But why calculate on the assistance of this climate and of the elements? So again, he's like, look, guys, you're safe because of this genie, but we don't need to calculate on the assistance of the climate. I forgot that I command a people of no common caste, brought up in adversity, whose audacious daring frowns at the obstacles and increases by danger. Let them come, then, these homicidal cohorts. I wait for them with firmness and with a steady eye. I abandon to them freely the seashore, and the places where cities have existed. But woe to those who may approach near the mountains. It were better for them that the sea receive them into the profound abyss, than to be devoured by the anger of the children of Haiti. So this was the tactic of the Haitian Revolution. Again, you guys go read the book, Irritated Genie. But he basically describes how the Haitians won. They did not win, like they won by calculation. Like they won by disease. In the sense of they knew that if the French stayed on their land for a particular season, they would not survive that particular season. Okay, so like I don't know if it's mosquitoes or some shit. I don't know, but I don't remember. But if you stayed in the town for that, so what a lot of the fighting was to keep the French pretty much in the interior, and away from medical supplies. And then as they got weakened by by not being able to stand the diseases and the climate, then they would slaughter them at that point in time. So a lot of guerrilla warfare, or even just warfare in general, like I tell people sometimes, I said, I think I put it on, it was a quote by Machiavelli, but what I tell people sometimes is where you fight is sometimes more important than who's fighting, right? So you could be the better military in some capacities, but if your military cannot withstand the environment, it's not going to win. And that's why a part of the reason why Europeans could colonize Africa was because they used African soldiers. And that's why, you also don't want African soldiers. So anyway, let me see if the comments is, forecast says the only scriptures, the new scriptures, Yeah. Well, I don't know. Like I said, because my thing is that I'm not going to superstition. And again, Dessalines is saying he's sharing the superstition, but he's also saying, look, it doesn't have to be the superstition. And this is why, again, this is the tactic here. He says, look, you guys can take the seashore. You can take the cities, but you will not be able to fight us in the interior. You see? And so when the ships approach these mulattoes, and they could quickly take the cities and they could quickly take the seashores, right? The mulattoes then surrendered the whole country. But Dessalines had a plan for, oh, you know what? They can't fight the long fight. Because remember, again, these white folk were winning wars in like 17 days or 18 days. The Haitian Revolution was for 10 years. You understand? And that's another reason why I'm not too optimistic about the fight in America, because we have that short attention span where, realistically speaking, if let's say if black Americans wanted to fight white Americans, that war might be a war of attrition over the course of a decade or possibly even 2 decades at this point, right? Do we know our people to want to fight for 2 decades? Because even Dessalines was like, yo, I gave a decade of my life to this fight. It's a long time for anybody to be fighting. Not like, oh, just to exist in the state of war. We're talking about daily combat. Okay? Or not daily, but monthly, weekly combats. That said, that's your job for 10 years, fighting and shooting and losing people and, so that's the thing I wanted to say. So anyway, war and death to tyrants. This is my motto. Liberty and independence. That's our rallying cry. Generals, officers, soldiers, a little unlike him, who have preceded me. The ex-general Toussaint Louverture, I have been faithful to the promise which I made to you when I took up arms against tyranny, and whilst the last spark of life remains in me, I shall keep my oath. Never again shall a colonist or a European set his foot upon this territory with the title of master or proprietor. This resolution shall henceforth form the fundamental basis of our Constitution. This is in the Constitution. No white person could own property in Haiti up until the Americans invaded in like the 1920s or some shit. Okay, again, I don't know the years off the top of my head. I'm not really Haitian, I guess. I don't know. But, I don't know the years off the top of my head. But up until the 1920s, no white person owned anything. But the Americans came in, and it was the American. What was it called? What's that? What's the Marines, right? And here's the thing that I don't like about this. It was like only 500 Marines. Okay? Which kind of is just a reminder to you that, you have to keep up with your military, charades. Now, and not just that, it's just that there's a threat from foreigners regardless of where you are. And it doesn't even have to be a lot of foreigners. It could just be, because there are other examples in human history where it's not even the American, let's use American. It's not even the American military itself. It could be a private individual who hires mercenaries. Or it could be a private individual working inside of, who just wants something from another country, and then the Americans come to defend him. And of course they're going to defend him. They're his citizen. Even if he's wrong, they're his citizen. So, it's just a constant reminder. Now, again, Haiti was crippled by this debt that it was paying to the French. So it's not like they were going to become whatever, but it is just another reminder that, yeah, even a small number of people, if you're not ready, you're not ready. So should other chiefs after me, by pursuing a conduct diametrically opposite to mine, dig their own graves and those of their species, you'll have to accuse only the law of destiny, which shall have taken me away from the happiness and welfare of my fellow citizens. May my successors follow the path. So he's like, look, I hope my successors follow the path I shall have traced out for them. It is a system best adapted for consolidating their power. It is the highest homage they can render to my memory. Sorry, I guess I'm still sick. As it is derogatory to my character and my dignity to punish the innocent for the crimes of the guilty, a handful of whites, and see this, look at this, commendable by the religion that they have always professed, and who have, besides taken the oath to live with us in the woods, have experienced my clemency. I order that the sword respect them, and that they may be unmolested. So he's like, look, there are some whites who, by their religion, okay, I have given them clemency. Now, this brother just sent me a story. I don't know what it's about, but there's this guy in Nigeria who he was like, because the whites enslaved his ancestors, he's going to enslave white folk. You know, I should send it to either Forecast or Brother Bakari. You guys, cause I know you guys like posting that stuff. I know. I think I put it. I think I'm gonna put it. I put it on Shoot the Breeze already. Hopefully they're gonna play it sometime. But the thing about that is, this supposedly it's a big story in Nigeria, but I don't know the details because, you know, again, I'm not Haitian. I'm not Nigerian. You know, I mean, I might have some Nigerian blood in me, but I'm not Nigerian. You know what I mean? But what I'm saying is that, and I might have Haitian blood. I'm just not like Haitian. But what I'm saying is that the guy, he's able to use religion to get white folk in his congregation to treat him like a cult leader, you know, and do whatever he wants with them. So, yeah, religion has that kind of effect on everybody, and it goes both ways. It's not just one way. In fact, if you guys want to know the guy's name, because I'm probably not going to post it, but actually, I think I can post it. Hold on a second. Why am I so? Y'all hear me? I'm like, it's like I got sick all of a sudden. Like, it's like I really just got sick randomly. Let me see if I can find it real quick for you guys, because I think it's a pretty interesting link. Let me see if I can. I'm just going to post it in the chat really quickly, so you guys can check it out. I didn't retweet it. I probably should retweet it, but I didn't retweet it. I got to figure out how to see my own page on YouTube. See, the thing about YouTube is that you can't even, like, they don't even, I don't even know how to do this shit. Hold on a second. I gotta, like, click on my own, like, it's like, I'm trying to access it on my phone, and it's like, you can't even do a lot of shit, you know? So what I'm gonna do is, I'm going to post it over here. I'm just gonna open it on a YouTube tab, and then, I don't think I'm gonna read it in my book. Or maybe I could just scroll through my book and show you guys. I don't think I'll read it because, one, I don't plan on saying... If I read it, I don't want to do another commentary. And it's like, you can't... Obviously. He said, so, Afrojam says, didn't they allow Polish troops? The Polish were mercenaries gone rogue. Oh, okay. They were mercenaries gone rogue. Yeah, that's the thing. Like I said, war is not about who's right. War is about who's left. You know, so this is the story of the guy in wait, hold on a second. Let me see if I can find it. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can put it. I'm gonna take off the thing at the end. So. This is the story of the guy at the in Nigeria who's like enslaving people, enslaving white people, using religion. So it's like religion has that effect. Like you can literally enslave people with this stuff, or you can get people to believe anything. Like I said, this whole genie thing is like what, and that might be, again, that could be the translation given to it by the Europeans, and he could have been talking about, you know, like a Vodon, you know, like something from Dahomey, but we don't know. In order that I sort of respect him and that it must be unmolested, I recommend anew an order to all the generals of departments to grant succor, encouragement, protection to all neutral and friendly nations who may wish to establish commercial relations in this island. So again, you know, and this kind of goes to Afrojan's point about, well, what happens after the war? So again, after the war, you want to, and that's to say, like, who's left and who's thing. Realistically, and this is the problem with the world as it is. Realistically, after a war, or if you form a government, you want to form commercial relations with other countries. You know what I mean? And you might want to form commercial relationships with the big countries. Okay, like America, China, Russia, so on and so forth. So it's like what you do, like if the guy, Jean, I can't remember his name, Janine Boulet, but Boulet, if Boulet is like, hey, look, I'm just gonna kill all these white folk. Yeah, okay, that's good, but what happens after the war? Are you gonna keep killing white folk? Because if you are, I mean, I get it, I understand it. But some people, and this is why you want to have a overarching philosophy. Some people are not interested in, some people are interested in commercial relationships with white folk, and like for instance, most of many people are African Americans, or not just African Americans, but like many black people like commercial relationships with white folk. You know what I mean? And what's commercial relationships with white folk? Where do you get your internet? Where do you get your telephones? Where do you get your so on and so forth? Why does Forecast call you a slave? You know what I'm saying? Or the N-word. It's because, you might be, asking people for other stuff. So it's like, or you might be trying to trade and exchange with other people. But like, that's just a normal, like it's normal at this point. I agree that we should manufacture our own things, and I intend for us to, become our own manufacturers. But, y'all, let me see. Brother Gregg says, you don't have scriptures, and neither do Oni. Y'all just wrote a book. The scriptures is the Bible. Yeah, okay. He says, and Forecast says, Bakari, Oni got new scriptures and more updated scriptures coming soon. Well, I mean, like I said, I don't use the word scriptures, but I feel you guys. But yeah. So, what I'm saying is that, so that's it. I don't know if I should show you guys what it looks like in the book. But basically, it's the same speech, but the language is much more fluent, much more rhythmic, and the praise for the mulattoes is not there, So I took out the praise for the mulattoes. But other than that, I just make it more readable, and it's a good thing. I don't know if I should just scroll through it, and then you guys could read it on your own, or I think I actually might have already read it on this podcast. But basically, you guys let me know. Otherwise, I'm good to end here, just for time's sake or whatever. Let me see if I could find it. Somebody said that the format. Let me see, where is this? I think it's War for War. I can show you guys. So yeah, page 87. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna show you guys. I could do this. I could read to you guys the preface, like the explanation. So in the book, I would give you guys like primary data, but then I'd also give you guys a description, so you guys just don't see things without the historical context. So you see a lot of historical context I added. I kind of did that in the book too. So let's see. Forecast says N-words because we still love the Bulls more than each other. Man, I never watched a game of basketball in my life, man, but I feel you. I don't know why I gotta be an N-word, but I feel you. Let's see. So I think I could go to. I gotta change the window. Let me see. So I opened my book, and this is just a description I gave before I gave this speech. And it's a pretty, like, again, a lot of it is related to the book. So if you haven't read the book, it might be a little bit like some things are a little bit esoteric, but I want you guys to see this anyway. So this is how the book is introduced. It says this is Jean-Jacques Dessalines, War for War, Crime for Crime, Outrage for Outrage. I said, if Africans understood war for war in its complex entirety, Africans would be free. The reality is Western Eurasians were enslaved by Central Eurasians, and they, after 700 years, brought war for war and became free. Okay, so again, remember, these white folk fought against the Arabs. So the Western Eurasians are the Europeans that we know, Central Eurasians are the Arabs, right? And they became free. Then they enslaved us, and Baba, right, Dessalines, among others, brought war for war, and we became free. But we needed much more war for war, and this is where we must set a course different from our esteemed Baba. In this speech, he discusses giving clemency to some whites. He talks about the false oaths and a spiritual deception whites gave, and he discusses his willingness to trade with whites an ancient weakness of Africans, see Chancellor Williams below. And in the original speech, he directs his animosity towards France as opposed to whites generally. These were fatal for him. But he also discusses war tactics. For example, the reality that a direct war is not necessary and a protracted fight in favorable terrain, mountains, would prove advantageous to Africans. So to say, holding on to cities and open fields may not be a long-term strategy. This is what you as Onkobia need to understand. So Onkobia is just, the brave Africans. Baba also discusses bastards and black unity. This is important as bastards were mulattoes. I was at a different time back 5 years ago. All right. This is important as bastards and some blacks eventually assassinate him. We have to realize, as in Kemet, that racial education has an importance alongside race. Without a BOCO, and that's a community center or school, youth education, or without having educated those bastards and blacks, they were a liability. Yet, and this is important, they were the majority of Baba's nation, okay? They outnumbered black people 2-1 in the government, elites. Despite being a minority in the population, they were outnumbered 20-1 in the population, commoners. This is the tragedy that happened in Kemet, too. The actual trouble of the bastard, see the preface of John Henry Clark's discussion below. So John Henry Clark has a speech against mulattoes. I think he calls them bastards, and I think that's maybe where I got it from. I don't know. But he says, we need to provide ourselves with a racial education. This is the program of the book. Dessalines is proof, both in his demise and his ascent. So I also have Bayano Bello on Dessalines' education. Lastly, note that he warns about IT's condition if they do not follow the racial warfare program. IT could have been a superpower, but it wallowed as a pauper due to poor leadership that followed Eurasia's racial education as opposed to Africa's. Okay? So a lot of the leadership was being educated by Eurasia, and that's where it meant problems. So Eurasianists, Ascari, bastards ruin IT. Never trust Eurasianists. So Eurasianists is basically like white supremacists, like basically black people who are thinking along the lines of white folk as opposed to Africanists, which would be thinking along the lines of black people. So again, I'm not going to read this because I just read this and the podcast is a little long, but you guys can pause and you could read it and you can see how the language was fixed up and like it looks really good. Okay, so you guys could read it. Ptah, by the way, is earth. So that's ancient Egypt. Ptah was how they said earth. So the blacks and so again, I think we talk about blacks and bastards, but he doesn't. Like I took out the references to the Guadeloupe and so on and so forth. Which again, I don't. Oh no, I guess Guadeloupe is right here. So maybe I didn't. I don't know. I remembered it as if I guess I debated whether I should take it out, and I didn't. But you know how memory is. You kind of think you did something and then you didn't. So again, like I said, people are easy to trick. You can trick yourself. And of course, I took out the words God and I said Ma'at. You know how I do. Irritated Netcher instead of irritated genie. But again, the book is irritated genie. But again, genie, and this is the thing I want people to realize. Dessalines might not have said Netcher, God, or genie. The thing is that whatever we know Dessalines to have said was translated into, it's possibly translated into French and then translated into English. Okay? So he could have said something in Creole that was neither, and I think I brought up the original Creole, or maybe I brought up the original French, right? But like this speech is not in French, it's not in English. And so when the French read it, they and when the French transcribe it, they don't keep the Creole word, but they change the Creole word into a French word, and then the English take it and they translate the French word into an English word. So if I take it and I translate it into an African word, it's not really taking from the thing because he never said genie. You get what I'm saying? He never said genie. He never said God. He never said any of those things. He just spoke in Creole, and then we interpret it that way. So that's what it looks like inside of the Book of Power. So make sure you guys order yourself a copy or what have you, and that's about it. But other than that, that's pretty much the podcast. Let me just look at the comments. If anybody has any questions or concerns, or if anybody liked it, let me know. That's cool to know too. Let me see. Where is it? I'm trying to find out where. Oh, here it goes. But other than that, let's see what the chat says. He says, LOL. He says, N-words because you guys like the bulls. He says, but Bakari says, you're wrong trying to compare to people that 3,000 years ago. Most of the people, I will say, 98% couldn't read back then. Those were, and still, the scriptures. Let me see. So he says, yeah, the Bible's still the scripture. I mean, look, I don't know. I don't read the Bible, so I don't know. I never read it. I was supposed to. I told my mother I was going to read it to my kid because I didn't want to read it twice. When I finally get a kid, but then by the time I got old enough to even consider having a kid, I realized this book is stupid. So, so I never read it. I'm not sure. What did Forecast say about the people 3,000 years ago? The Bible. People from 3,000 years ago compared to people that 3,000 years ago. Most of those people. Oh yeah, they couldn't read 3,000. Oh, the Bible. Yeah, the Bible was 3,000 years ago. Yeah. Brother McCarty says, "How is Oni an N-word? He has never watched basketball. Y'all have a monopoly on being slaves. N-word and anything else that keeps y'all with a bottom mindset." Yeah. I haven't watched basketball. But Bakari, Forecast says, Bakari, 3,000 years ago, it's people in church reading the old book right now. They don't have the new scriptures. Yes, 2,000 years ago is the only scriptures, LOL. Did they run the damn Cash App for you? I don't know. I'll switch up the screen in a bit. I just can't switch it up now because I'm using OBS Studio, so it's just going to be a lot of things. But I'll switch it up. Only you got to switch that screen up. You can't understand. So yeah, you guys, if you want, like I said, you can do the Cash App. Other thing is get yourself a copy of the Book of Power. And obviously, I'm going to write this next book. It's really going to be fire. So hopefully you guys can check that out too. And if you want any other book recommendations, you could check out Ptah Htp. That's a good book. I wish I wrote a copy of that, but you should definitely have a copy of that. It's the oldest book in the world, so it's like if anything was a scripture, I would say Ptah Htp was. Real talk. I think a lot of the ancients, like even the people who wrote the Bible, read Ptah Htp, and you know he has really good advice in there about just living your life. And of course, Marcus Garvey's Message to the People is excellent. You know, Course on African Philosophy. That's an excellent book too. It's very religious, but it's an excellent book. And I mean, Garvey clarifies why he's super religious. He says because black people are religious. You know what I mean? like he's like, because black people are religious, he's got to be religious. You know, it doesn't make any sense to like, even if it's not right. Like even if like everybody knows that not every story in the Bible is true. Like most of the Bible is made up, but everybody knows that not everything's true. But at the same time, it's like, you know, if people are religious, or if people think some of it is true, or people think some of it is, you know, like pushing against the grain at that point in time might not have made him the most successful speaker on the planet. Now again, remember, or one of the most successful speakers on the planet. Remember, there were a lot of other black people at the time. There were a lot of black people who might have been like, no, I'm not pushing the Bible. No, I'm not pushing Bible stories. No, I'm an atheistic, blah, blah, blah. And they just didn't have the success that Marcus Garvey had. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing about life. It's like that's the whole thing about the Guadeloupe and Martinique thing. A lot of people fought and struggled, and they just didn't have the same success as Haiti. You know what I mean? Haiti was not the first attempt for a revolution. Haiti was the first successful one that took over a whole nation. You know? But this was countless times it happened. So Brother Bakari says, Forecast jealous of the scribes that wrote the Bible. Forecast says, Bakari mad because you have the new scripture and he's stuck on the book called the Bible. Brother Bakari says, I just gave Marcus Garvey Message to the People to this 20-year-old young lady that wants to learn. Yeah. If you want, I have the PDF. If you guys, in fact, I'll just link the PDF in the thing. Like, because again, I think it's good to give people physical copies, but I also have the PDF. For people who want more books, though, like I said, I usually share this book repository on Discord. So a lot of people, you know, if you just want to join my Discord, you can see the link in the description. When you get in there, there's a lot of conversation, and not too much conversation, not to the point where it's like, oh my gosh, why are you guys still conversing? But then there's like a whole, but like you could discuss books if you want to discuss books, and you can get a copy. Like I think it's like 200, 300 books. You know, some of them are not all of them are African history. Some of them are, you know, like coding, and some of them are like business. You know what I mean? But like a lot of African history books. And like on the main page, I give out some of my favorite books. So I sent you guys 2 of them already, which is Marcus Garvey's thing, and there's also Carlos Cook's. So you guys can share those links, or download them and share the books. And let me see, maybe I can send you guys something else. Oh yeah, for those of you who are curious about the Book of Power, I have a preview to it, which is like 140 pages or some shit. So I think it's there too. I don't see it right now. That's weird. I thought it was here. But yeah, I usually give like previews. Yeah, here's the Book of Power preview, and I think it's in the description, the description to this podcast. But if you don't think, whatever. So he says, Brother Bakari says, you are working today. My bad. Are you on a plantation today? Yeah, forecast already know the plantation stuff. If I order it, can you send a physical copy? If you order what forecast? I only sell for my Book of Power. I only have a physical copy. So I decided to, because the thing is that when you steal so many books, because like I said, everybody has their own morals. What I'm doing is stealing books. That like, and I justify it. But when you steal books, you cannot release an ebook, because I'm not saying I believe in karma, but that's just the way the world is. You know what I mean? So that's all it is. Brother Bakari said, forecast says, Bakari, yeah, I'm on the plantation right now, working in the field. Getting whipped and stuff. But that's why I say too, when we talk about slavery, like what Dessalines is talking about is slavery. You know what I mean? Like that's the real deal slavery. Like going to work, like I guess Brother Bakari says this sometimes, but going to work is something that everybody does. You know what I mean? In this kind of economy. So it's like, yeah, I wouldn't liken it to slavery. Like not in the least. But it is what it is. But I mean, I also get it. But anyway, that's pretty much the whole podcast. Unless somebody has a comment, appreciation to everybody who ran the Cash App. Shout out to y'all. And then, but other than that, check out those 3 books in the description. You have Message to the People by Marcus Garvey. You have Carlos A. Cook's. And then you have the preview to my Book of Power. So it's going to be like 140 pages. So it's pretty big. It's pretty big for a book. But it's not the whole book. So you guys check it out and enjoy yourselves. But other than that, Shebem Hotep, Uncle John Seneb Neb, Amen Ma'at, Dua Necha. What do you say?